Hi everyone, this is Ravi. Welcome to my YouTube channel. As you all know, I've already published 3 YouTube videos related to generative AI based test automation tool called testRigor, where I've covered the introduction lesson and then I've showed you the features and different options that are available in testRigor, and then we also automated one test case by using plain English prompting. So in today's lesson, I'm going to teach you more advanced concepts. Please do subscribe to the channel, click on bell icon, you'll receive notifications whenever I publish more videos. Don't forget to like and share the video. Thank you. This is our lesson 4 where I'm going to teach you how can we use the global variables in testRigor. In other words, how can we parameterize our test cases to replace the hard-coded values in our test cases. And also, I'm going to teach you how can you perform the data-driven testing in testRigor by using the plain English language prompting. Now, let us jump onto the system and see the concepts of global variables and data-driven testing. So this is my testRigor. So I have already showed you how can we automate the test cases by using the plain English prompt in my previous lesson, which is lesson 3. I would recommend you guys to visit my previous lesson before you watch this session. So now let me create a new folder here. I'm going to name this as data driven testing and click on add. And then here I would like to add a new test suite under data driven testing. I'm going to name this as data driven test suite. And then type of testing is my desktop web. And then what is the URL? What I'm going to do, let me show you what scenario we are going to automate by using data driven testing. So this is OpenCart web application where you can see the register customer. So if you click on register, so you need to provide your first name, last name, email, telephone, password, confirm password, right? All these details to register yourself for this particular website. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to automate this particular scenario by using testRigor. So let me copy this URL and here let me paste the URL here. So this is my URL, and then I don't want to provide any username and password. What is the operating system? My operating system is Windows. And then let me keep the browser as Chrome for now. And then I don't want to generate any test cases by default. Okay, I have already explained you what do you mean by number of test cases to generate using AI in my previous lesson. Now I would like to create test suite. So as soon as you create the test suite, you can access these test suites again by clicking on here. Test suites, you can see here data driven test suite. But this data driven test suite is outside the folder that we created. To move this folder to the folder, to move this test suite to the folder, click on 3 dots, move to select data driven testing and move here. So now you can see under data driven testing, there is one test suite available, right? Select the test suite. So now let us simply automate the registration functionality. For that, click on add test case, name this as register account. Register account. Let's prompt the plain English language. First, I'm gonna enter the value to the first name field, right? So for that, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna say enter. What is the value? I'm gonna enter my first name as Ravikant into what is the field name? This is the field name. And then enter my last name into What is the field name? This is my field name. And then let's say you need to enter password also. I just want to test entering the password now. Enter password as, let's say I would like to enter it as test@123 into what is the element? This is my element. Paste it here. So here, let me save this, add and run this particular test for now. We can expand this. So your execution started, okay? So let's see, it is entering your first name, last name and password, okay? Let's open this and see. It entered your first name, last name and password, correct? But here we have hard coded the values in the test case, right? So let's click on edit test case. What we are doing, we are hard coding the values. So what is the problem if you hard code the values? If you hard code the values in the test case, if there is any change in the test data, you need to update each and every test case. That's why hard coding the values is not recommended. So that's why we need to parameterize our test cases. First, let us see how can we use the global variables instead of hard-coded values in your test case. For that, I would like to go to a module called test data. Click on test data, and here there are two options available. One is global variables, the other one is data sets. First, let us explore the global variables before you talk about data sets. Go to global variables. Now, I would like to add the global variables. Let me keep both the windows to shift between the test data and your test case. Okay. So this is your test case. Now I need to create the global variables for my first name, last name and the password. What I'm going to do here, under global variables, to add the variable, click on add. There are 5 different types of global variables. One is text, hidden, which is your password related, file, multi-line, client certificate. So here I'm going to select text and I'm going to mention the global variable as first name. I'm taking all small cases, okay? First name, and what is the value? I'm going to pass the value as Ravikant. Okay, add it. And now let us add another global variable. I'm going to select again type of the variable as text, and then I'm going to say the variable name as last name, and my value is Edamakanti, right? And now let me add another global variable. So this time I'm going to use hidden, and then I'm going to specify this as password. So all the variables, whatever we are defining in lowercase, and my password will be test at the rate. I'm going to do one thing, test at the rate 456. Let's add this one. So now we have defined your first name, last name, password. So now in our test case, we need to replace these hard-coded values by your global variables. How can we do that? So what we need to do here, instead of enter Ravikant here, let me replace with enter stored value. So you need to use the keyword called stored value. Enter stored value. What is the stored value? From first name, all lower cases, right? Enter stored value first name into your element. Again, your element is first name. Same thing I'm entering. In the same way, here also, I'm going to say enter stored value. What is your variable name? My variable name is last name. So copy this one and paste it here, right? And now into the element last name. In the same way, password as well. I'm going to say enter stored value. What is that? My variable name is password. Okay, into password. Also, I'm going to enter confirm password. So if you go to the application, there is another field called confirm password. I'm going to enter the same password. Enter stored value from same password variable into a new element called password confirm. Okay, so now let's save and retest this step. So if it is taking, let's go back to our variables and let us change the name here. What I'm going to do here, I'm going to change the first name as ficus root to make sure that it is taking the values from your global variables. I'm going to say here last name as YouTube. Okay, and now how you can save? Click on this right mark, click on this right mark. So your values got saved. So when I run the test case now, it should take the latest values from the global variables. Okay, let's save and retest it. So here you can see it seems like there is a mistake in the command. Okay, these commands are not recognized. What is this here? Into is wrong. What I'm going to do here, go back here and let us correct this one. Okay, so the beauty of your testRigor is it also can recognize the English prompts whether it is correct or not. Okay, again save and retest. So now you can see a test cycle has been scheduled. So your execution started. So it should start entering the values from global variables. So now let's open this one and see what is happening. See here, it is now entering first name as ficus root, last name as YouTube, right? So that means, and also it is entering password and confirm password. That means it is taking the values from your global variables. Okay, so this is how you can avoid hard coding the values in your test case. Okay, so this is how you can parameterize your test cases by using variables. However, so let me complete entering all the values in the registration page. Okay, for that what I'm going to do, I'm going to go and create the variables. Let us add a variable called email, right? So simply add, this is also text, name is email, and I'm going to say ravi@gmail.com. Add it, and then let's add telephone also. Add text telephone and add the value as so on. This is the phone number, and once phone number is finished, now how can we enter or how can we operate the radio button and how can we operate your checkbox here? I'm going to discuss how can we handle CAPTCHA in my upcoming lessons. For now, I'm going to discuss about the radio buttons handling and checkbox handling. Okay, so now to click on this radio button, what should we do? So let us go to testRigor. So here, what I'm going to prompt? I'm going to prompt click, because we need to perform click operation for your radio button, right? Click radio button. Okay, radio button. And here radio button, click radio button. Here S represents 0, no represents 1. Let me inspect this. Right click and inspect. You can see here the options yes and no represents 1 and 0. Okay, so let me just again inspect it. So here you can see value 1 is right? Yes, and then 0 is your no. Okay, 0 is no. So now what I'm going to do here, I'm going to pass the value as 1. I'm going to say here 1. Click radio button 1 where the right of your subscribe text. I'm going to say here click radio button 1, but this radio button is to the right of subscribe. I'm going to say right of subscribe, right? In the same way, checkbox. Checkbox also, you're going to click on the checkbox, right? One more thing here, either you can specify 1 or you can also specify as yes. Copy this, paste it here. Okay, let's try yes. Okay, and then your privacy policy. Here you need to click on checkbox to the right of privacy policy, right? Copy this one. I'm going to say click checkbox right of privacy policy, right of privacy policy. Okay, so now let's save and retest it to make sure the radio button and the checkbox is handled correctly. So now you can see here there are additional steps that have shown here. First, entered first name, last name, password and confirm password. Now here if you see here, it also selected your subscribe yes radio button, and then it is identifying the radio button checkbox based on the privacy policy, and then it checked the checkbox, right? That is your last step. So that means we are able to handle the radio button and checkbox. What if we have the drop down values? If you need to select value from drop down, how can you prompt? What we are going to do, we are going to say select stored value. Let's say I have created one variable called country. Let's assume that if this particular registration page has country as your selection, and I have created a variable country. Okay, select stored value country from, you need to specify drop down, from drop down, and what is the element name. Let's say if your element name is country, you are going to specify this as country. What it will do, this prompt select stored value country from drop down is going to select the drop down value. Okay, so this is how you can handle the drop down values. Okay, so now let me also click on continue button, right? What I'm going to do here, click continue. Here you have a capital letter, click continue, right? Now let's save and run this particular test case. Validate, save and retest. It started execution, and now you should have a final step where you will be clicking on continue. So here it is clicking on continue button. Let's go back to your test case. Let us prompt all other values from the variables, right? So what variables that we have declared? Your email ID, telephone, right? Let me prompt them. Okay, enter stored value email into what is the element name? The element name is from application. Let me copy this element name and paste it here. In the same way, enter telephone stored value. What is the variable name? Our variable name is telephone into, this is my element. Copy and paste it here. So now first name, last name, email, telephone, password, confirm password, all are done, and then your subscribe and then policy and continue. Now let me save and retest now. So now you can see here it is entering all the values this time. It should enter all the values. Okay, it should enter your first name, last name, email ID, telephone, right? I can see all of them has been entered, right? And then it clicked on checkbox as well, and then it subscribe to the news, and then it should hit continue button. Okay, so here it identified continue, and then it clicked on continue, right? So that's how you can parameterize your test case by using global variables. Now, so if you follow this approach, you can run one test case with one data set. Now, how can I enhance this test case to run with the multiple data sets? So that is where your data set comes into picture. So what is that? Let's go back to your test data, and here there is an option called data sets. So this is where the data sets comes into picture. So I'm going to use two methods. In this video, I'm going to stop using the inbuilt method called data sets. Okay. In my next lesson, I'm going to cover how can we perform data-driven testing from external CSV files. For now, I'm going to explain by using inbuilt data sets in testRigor. We are going to do data-driven testing with multiple data sets by using the inbuilt function called data sets. And in my next lesson, I'm going to tell you how can we perform data-driven testing to use multiple data sets from external files like CSV and Excel files in my next lesson. So to create data sets, all you need to do is go to data sets. So now let us add our first data set. So we're adding this data set for what? For registration purpose. What I'm going to do, register data. I'm going to say data for registration. I'm using this description. Data for registration. Okay. So now let's add this data set. So once you add the data set, let us first define the variables. What are the variables? I have all these variables: first name, last name, email, telephone, password, right? Let's add first variable as text. This is your first name, right? Add it. And then next one is last name, and then next is email, and then I'm going to add telephone, password. Okay, add telephone, and then add password, which is type hidden password. Okay, so these are all the variables these are all the variables that are available in data set called register data, right? So we have created a data set and then we defined variables. So once you define the variables, now we need to define the rows for each variable. Okay, go to rows. Now let us add the rows. Click on add row. What is the first row name? I'm going to mention this as 1. My first row should be, first name is Ravikant, first name is Ravi, last name is testing, email is ravi@outlook.com, and telephone is this. Telephone is this. Password is test@1234. Okay. This is my first row. That's why I named the row as 1, which is my first row. Right. So now once we add the first row, click on add. And now let us add a second row. So you can see here, this is your first row and this is the data. Let me add second row. Add row. I'm going to name this as second. I'm going to say second row. And name, let us provide the values. James Spencer, email ID james@gmail.com, telephone, and then this is your password, test@456. Okay, now add this one. Let us add the third set of data. Add row. I'm going to say third row, and pass your first name as John, Davis, email as john@gmail.com, telephone, and then password. Right, and scroll down, click on add. So now I have added 3 different rows. You can see here, let me collapse all these. Okay, so you can see here, this is my first row data set, and then this is my second row data set, right, and then this is my third row data set, right. So if you want to remove the row, you can simply click on this delete row, right. So now let's go back to your data sets. You can see here, this is my data set for register data. Under register data set, I have defined 3 different rows with the variables, all these variables. These are all my fields and these are all my rows. First row, second row, third row. And these are all my variables, right? Let us go back here now. So now let us go to test case. So this is my test case. So now what should we do? As we have provided the variable names as same as your global variables, right? So there is no difference between global variables and your variables that you defined in the data sets. So that's why we need not to change these. Okay, we need not to change these values. Okay, I'm going to keep as is, but what we need to change, what is the change that we need to make here? The only change is you need to link your data set. Earlier we have not linked any data set. That's why it is taking the global variables that we defined here. Let's go back to data sets. We have defined the global variables with the same name, right? That's why it is taking the global variables. Now I want to use the variables that I defined in data sets. What we can do? How we can do? Go back to your test case, link your data set, and what is the data set that you would like to link? This register data is the data sets. What I'm going to do? I'm going to click on link. Before I click on link, you can see here there are 5 variables and there are 3 groups. That means 3 different data sets that we created for these 5 different variables. Hit link. So now close the window. You can see here now your data set is showing as register data. If I save and retest this time this test case should run 3 times with 3 different data sets from your data set, register data set. Let's save and retest. Roll down now, expand this. So execution will start. To see the execution, open this and click open the run view also. You can open the run view and you can see here all 3 data sets runs parallelly. See, this is your first data set. This is your second data set, right? So you can see here, this is your first data set. And this is my data set 1, data set 2, data set 3. See here, all 3 data sets are running parallelly. See here, everything is running now. Your first data set is done and your second data set started, right? You can see live execution here. This is your third data set here. It started running. In the same way, you can see here also. Your first data set running is completed. Now if you go here, it's showing you first data set passed, second data set passed, third one. See here, it is still running. Third one is running. So you can toggle between your first, second, third. Your third also completed here. Let's go back here now. You can see here all 3 data sets. Pass, right? You can see here. So if you come down here, you can see what are all the data sets that it passed. You can see this is my first data set, passed, second data set, third data set. So if you go back here now, let's see here. Let us select first data set and see what values have been passed. My first data set passed the values as Ravi and this one, right? Let's go to my second data set. Go here, click on second and come down here. Now you in your second data set you can see here James now, right? And your first name and last name is also, see here you can see James and then telephone. So this way you can analyze your test results. You can analyze test results from your run view also. You can analyze test results from your run view also, which is this one. Okay. So hope you all understand how can you perform data-driven testing by using testRigor, and then how can you create the global variables by using testRigor. If you have any queries, leave your queries in the comment box. I'll try to respond to your queries. Thank you. Hope you all understand the concepts of today's lesson, where I've showed you how can we parameterize the test case by using global variables, where we have replaced the hard-coded test data values with our global variables. And also I've showed you how can we perform data-driven testing by using the inbuilt feature called data sets. Please do subscribe to the channel, click on bell icon, you'll receive notifications whenever I publish more videos. Don't forget to like and share the video. Thank you.